Hey guys, welcome back. So last time we got this watch page created and at the moment it does nothing of course because we just started, but what we're going to do now is make a start and actually put some data here. So once again I'll show you what it actually looks like. So this is the finished version. It's going to look something like this, okay, and you have to play the video. But what we're going to do first is create a video class. So just like we have our user class here, which has a bunch of functions that we can use to get data from the table, we're going to create the same thing for a video class. So this video class will have a bunch of functions like this that we can just use to call, for example, to get the number of views on a video, get the title of the video, things like that. So let's create that now. So what I'm actually going to do is copy this whole user.php class, all right? So I'm copying all the code from that, and then I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to save it as video.php in the includes classes folder. So this will be video.php, just like that. So video.php, I'm going to paste this code in there from the user.php class, and make sure you remember to change this user name to video, because if you don't do that, you're going to have problems, right? So change this class name here to video, not user, all right? Now, we're going to change the constructor slightly. We're not going to have con here and username. We are going to have con, but we're going to get rid of username. This is going to be input. So this is going to be the input we use to get the certain video. And the reason we want to call it input is because when we create this class, we want to be able to create the class by passing in an ID. And if we pass in the ID of the video, it's going to go to the table, go to the videos table and retrieve the video with that ID. For example, 154 in this case. So if we pass in 154, it'll go to the videos table and take the video with this ID, and it'll get all this data here. So we don't just want the user to pass in IDs to create videos, we also want this to be able to handle passing in SQL data to create videos. The reason being, when we loop over all these videos eventually, we will already have all of the data we need. So if we can pass in all of the data, we just want to be able to create the video from that. So basically, this input is either going to be an ID or SQL data. If it's an ID, it will have to go to the database and get the data. If it's SQL data, obviously it already has it, so we can just assign it to this variable up here, and that's it. So that's just a quick explanation of that. You'll see how that works in just a second, but it's going to take one more parameter, and that's going to be the user logged in object. And I'll explain more about this later on, but for now, just add this as a parameter. So user logged in obj, like that, just like we created in header.php. So use logged in obj, and then copy this variable and add it at the top as well. So right here, comma, and then use logged in obj, all right? And then underneath here, I'm going to just assign the use logged in obj as well. So copy that, paste it there, and paste it there too. So now we're setting the user logged in obj right there. Now, keep this part, but what I'm going to do is come back to that in just a sec. We're going to make some space underneath there, and this is going to be the if statement, which checks if this is an ID or checks whether it's SQL data, okay? Because like I said, we do something different depending on what it is. We will just say if is underscore array, like this. So input. So what I'm doing is I'm saying if the input that was passed into here, this one here, if it's an array, we're going to do this, because if it's an array, we know it's SQL data, okay? So that means we can simply say this arrow SQL data equals input, like that. Good, we're done. We know we have all the video data, and that's it. Else, this means it's an ID, okay? So if this is an ID that was passed in, not SQL data, okay, this means it's not an array. Then we want to do this, which is essentially just going to the database and getting the data. So I've copied all that from below, and I'm going to move it into this else like this. I'm just going to move this across, so by pressing tab. And of course, we need to change this slightly because at the moment it's selected from the users table. We want to say select all from videos where ID equals, and just change this placeholder to ID. And then we're going to bind the parameter. We don't have a UN placeholder anymore. We change it to ID, and then username is going to be changed to input, because like I said, this input will be the ID of the video. Execute the query, and then SQL data equals this, and this is okay as well. We can keep that same. Great. So that, as we have it now, works. We can actually pass an ID and it'll create the video, or we can pass in SQL data and it'll create the video class using that instead. Okay. So that's a good start. What we're going to do in the next video is just write some helper functions, just like we did with these, so that we can call them at any point.